Hey everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to take a look at the brand new release DC Comics Icon 6-inch scale Last Rites Batman figure. Now this is the first figure in this new line of figures from DC Collectibles, and it comes packaged in a very similar style of packaging that we've seen with other DC Collectibles. It's a window box packaging. The figure is clearly displayed along with the accessories. Off to the side we have the name DC Comics, and then down below we have the Icons logo with a little bat symbol in the middle of the O. Off to the side we have the name of the character, and up top it tells us that this is figure number 1 in the series. On the side of the packaging we have again the DC Comics Icons, and then it tells us that this figure, the design of this figure, is based on the DC Comics story called Batman Last Rites. On the back of the packaging we have a look at all 4 figures in the first wave of this line. Batman, Deadman, Green Arrow, and Mr. Miracle, all 4 have been released this week, so you can pick them up at comic and specialty shops. And I'll be doing a review for all 4 figures this week as well. Then down below we again have the Icons logo, and then it tells us the figure design was based on Ivan Reyes and sculpted by Paul Harding. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging along with the other contents. Now before I delve into this review, I would really be interested to hear from you all who've been collecting DC Collectibles and stuff, and hear your thoughts on the change in scale. I've heard various opinions. Some people are happy with it. Some people are happy to get a 6-inch line that's going to fit in more with their Marvel Legends and stuff like that. And then there are those who have been collecting the 7-inch figures who are not happy that we're now going to a smaller scale line. So I would definitely be interested. My personal opinion is I like the 7-inch figures. I certainly have a lot of them, and so I can understand the frustration of those who don't like going to the smaller scale. But being as I am someone who does collect other lines like Marvel Legends and stuff, I'm pretty happy with going to a 6-inch scale as well. So it doesn't really bother me. We had a good run with the new 52 line from DC Collectibles in that 7-inch scale. You know, I think we got a lot of good figures from that line. So I'm more than happy to kind of move on to something new with these icons. But I would definitely be interested in hearing what you all think on that. So that being said, here's a look at the first figure in this line. You know, and I was pretty excited when this line was first announced, so I've been eagerly waiting for this figure to get released. And it comes with a number of decent accessories. So first of all, it comes with 2 batarangs. Both are exactly the same, and they're just black, but they are, you know, they do have kind of sharp points at the ends of them. So I like the design of the batarangs, and he can hold the batarangs in his hands without any problem, so that's nice. He also comes with a hand that has a sculpted in it a working zip line, basically. So on one end is a little hook, and the other end is a little ball, and it's just a rope. It's just a piece of string, but you can put it, it's for his left hand, and you can put it in, and it basically, you can attach it to, you know, 2 ends and have him zip line across the cityscape if you wanted to. So that's kind of an added cool bonus. And then he finally comes with 2 different sets of hands. He's got the closed-fisted hands, which are attached on the figure when you first take it out of the packaging, and then he's got a pair of open hands for gripping the batarang or anything else. And the figure comes with a little instruction sheet that shows you how to switch out the hands and everything on all the figures in the wave. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it does give you that. So the detailing on the figure, I think, is pretty nice. Paint applications are pretty basic. I mean, there's not like wash work or anything on this one, but you know, no serious paint blemishes or anything. So nice solid lines on the paint, like on the bat symbol that's painted on his chest, and it is the black bat symbol. Again, this figure is based on how he looked in the storyline called Last Rites. He's got the dark blue for the mask, and he's got the underwear on the outside and the boots. Now the paint on the boots is a little bit shinier, same with on the gloves. It's a little bit shinier blue than what's on like the underwear or the cape and the mask. The cape itself is it's a vinyl material, but it's actually a little bit lighter than what typically the capes in this line are. So you know, it definitely doesn't weigh the figure down, and I like the way it hangs on the figure. It looks pretty good. It comes down to almost about his ankles, so I think the cape overall looks good. And I like, you know, how they've got hanging on the back with the sculpting of the lines and everything. I like the ears. I think the ears are sculpted nicely. The belt's got some nice sculpting details on it. It's a separate piece from the figure. It's kind of a rubber type material that's glued on the waist, but I think the belt definitely looks nice on this figure. The only complaint, I don't quite like the skin tone on the face. It's a little bit too orangey to me. It's not horrible or anything, but that would be my only complaint, minor complaint when it comes to paint applications on this figure. So articulation on this figure is pretty nice. It's better than what we typically see on a DC Collectibles figure. It is got a head. The head is on a ball joint, so he can look left and he can look right, and he doesn't really have much up movement with the head, maybe a little bit, but basically he can look straight ahead, but then he can look down, and he can kind of pivot his head to the left and the right as well. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joints, so he can get his arm out good. And even with the cape, he's got good rotation there at the arm. Cape doesn't really limit the rotation there. He also has a bicep swivel. Elbow joints, double jointed elbow, so that's good. And then he's got swivels at the wrists, and the hands are attached with, or have hinges on them, so he's got good up and down movement with the hands as well. And the joints seem to be well constructed. Not worried about breakage on these at all. They feel nice and sturdy, so no complaints there. He's got a midsection joint that has a swivel, so he can swivel there at the midsection. And then he's got a little bit of a crunch there at that upper midsection joint, but then he's got an actual ab crunch joint as well, so he can definitely bend down and bend back pretty good. No waist swivel, but again, you don't really need that since you've got the swivel at the midsection. Legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits good, and he can get his leg forward pretty good. Now the pouches on the belt do limit a little bit how forward you can get the legs, but not too much. He can still get it forward pretty good, and then he can do the leg kind of out and back like that. No thigh swivel, but that's not that major to me. He does have double hinged knees, which is nice, and he has boot cuff swivel. And then he's got the hinges on the feet, so he's got up and down movement, and then he does have ankle pivot, so good movement there at the ankles. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so this figure stands at almost exactly 6 inches tall if you count to the tip of his ears. He's definitely shorter than a normal 7-inch scale DC collectible figure. So here's the new 52 Batman figure next to this new Icons, and you can see, you know, the 7-inch figure is much taller. Now, unfortunately, these are not in perfect scale with, say, like Hasbro's Marvel Legends. The Marvel Legends are a little bit taller. So here's Hasbro's Marvel Now Captain America figure, and you can see that Cap stands a little bit taller than Batman, and I would say these two characters should be about the same height. So a little bit out of scale, but I still think for the most part they'll look pretty good on your shelf next to one another if you collect both lines. And then also here's an older Toy Biz Marvel Legends Captain America, and again you can see Cap is a little bit taller. And then I dug out this old Superman DC Universe Superman figure from Mattel, and again the Mattel figure is a little bit taller. And finally, here is one of DC Collectibles' 6-inch scale Batman the Animated Series figures, the Batman figure. And even in this line, the Animated Series Batman is maybe a hair taller than the Icons Batman. And then finally, if you were wondering, yes, this figure will fit in the new DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series 6-inch scale Batmobile. So if you want to give your new Icons Batman a ride, this Animated Series Batmobile will work pretty nicely. He'll fit in there, even with the cape. It's got enough flexibility that it doesn't limit him from sitting, and the steering wheel, he can reach the steering wheel fine, and you can get the top closed with no problem. Okay, so that's my review. I like this figure for the most part. It doesn't bother me that it's a smaller scale. I think the sculpting's good on it, paint applications are solid, and articulation is pretty good for the most part. It doesn't have the thigh swivel, but that again doesn't bother me too much. It does bother me a little bit that it's not in perfect scale with the Marvel Legends line, but I can't really fault a company for not having the exact same scale as another company's toy line. So, you know, for that, and for the most part, I think these will still look pretty good if you want to put them all on the same shelf, even though these will be probably a little bit on the short side. I think they'll still overall look pretty good together. So this figure is out now. Now these figures do cost a little bit more than say a Hasbro Marvel Legends figure. Typical Marvel Legends figure costs about $20, and these are going to cost you about $25. And then this line will also have deluxe figures, which will come with things like larger display type bases, such as the Flash. Upcoming Flash figure is going to have a treadmill you can run on, and those figures are going to cost about $35. So you know, you are going to have to pay a little bit more for these. But that being said, this is a specialty line, specialty market line as opposed to a mass-produced line. So it's somewhat understandable that they're going to be a little more expensive. And you do, it seems like for the most part, get more accessories, and in some cases maybe even a little bit more in the way of paint applications and such. So this figure is out now. We'll have a full gallery of images up at toynewseye.com. There's a link in the description below. And, you know, again, I would really like to hear from you all what you think about the smaller scale as opposed to the 7-inch scale. And if you are a Marvel Legends figure, you know, checking out these DC collectible figures for the first time, I'd be interested to hear how you think they compare. So definitely chime in below in the comments section. And if you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'll catch you later.